We're happy to have you here because we're going to be talking midterms. We're going to be talking Democratic primary and the different ideological and generational fights that are happening right now within the Democratic Party. We've been talking about Iran all week. We're going to zoom out, talk a little bit of politics today. But so thank you all for coming here. Thank you for being here. And also, we are in the top 100 best-selling
Still,
Stop Rising. Yeah, we are in the top 100 rising U.S. politics Substack again this week. We're going up and down the charts, but we're still on the charts. So that's because of you guys. Thank you for subscribing, for engaging. And if you have not already, subscribe to me, subscribe to Common Power, and become a paid subscriber to my independent journalism, because that's what's boosting us in these charts. And yes, we got Good Morning from California. We've got Jay representing. We got Canada. We got Louisiana. We got Ohio, Virginia. Carly, what's up? Jennifer, Heidi, everybody. Thank you for coming here. And Charles, appreciate you sitting through my long intro. What's up to you? How are you doing?
Man, that was you got to talk about the charts. You got to talk about the fact that you're so popular now, and I understand it. My name is Charles. I run Common Power, and we send volunteers out to go knock on doors, and we're very connected to Ahmed Baba. Especially when it comes to electoral work.
Yes. Charles of Common Power. Sorry, go ahead.
I was to say, we have an app that allows you to sign up for door knocking with us, and Ahmed built that for us as one of his hidden superpowers, not just looking good on TV and being smart on Substack. He also can do tech stuff.
Yeah. I mean, appreciate you plugging that right here. You know what I mean? People don't really know I had a background in tech. So one of the ways I get out my civic itch, my need to engage, is to work with Common Power on different initiatives. I did media literacy talks with them too, but I also built their app that they use to mobilize volunteers. So
that's right.
We out here, man. So Charles, you are out here doing the real work on the ground. You send volunteers out here to door knock. So you're going out to door knock in Chicago next weekend. You were just in Texas in the Texas primary. So you're getting like an on the ground view of all these different fights. And there's different components to this, right? There's also progressive versus moderate. There's generational fights. We see Al Green just faced a primary with Christian Menefee. I hope that's how I pronounce it. Yeah, Christian Menefee. And Menefee's 37. Al Green is 78. He moved Al Green to a runoff, and he was ahead by 2 points. So I mean, we have these generational fights happening here. But it's not to say that these older folks didn't do an incredible job, or Al Green isn't, an icon and all these other things. But it's that, there's a debate happening about who's up next ideologically, age-wise. And so just what are you seeing? What are you tracking this week?
Yeah. So the Texas one is one that we're going to be sitting, having folks on the ground in Texas knock on doors. You've got a good collection of people who are a part of the Common Power community, and they're going to knock doors for Christian Menefee. We knocked doors on him for him last year when he was running in the primary, and we decided that he was the best candidate to win in that district. We knocked on thousands of doors for him there, and we're going to continue with him. The interesting thing about that district is Al Green actually moved into his district because the districts were redrawn in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
So Christian Menefee wins the primary, wins the general election, and then has to basically run again, and because it was a special election. So this is one where, if we back way up, a Democrat who had, I think, terminal cancer passed away last year. He passed away last year in a blue district. And this is it's a conversation about age and about health. Republicans tend to leave office in the House because of some legal issue, extramarital, some crazy, shameful incident. And then Democrats leave because they pass away. Unfortunately, 3 of them last year. This is a thing. And age and health is a part of this. It's a part of the slim margin that they have in the House. And if we would have had more Democrats that were viable and healthy and alive in their seats last year, I think it would have been a different story in the U.S. House. So that's what people are thinking about now when they're voting. And Christian Menefee, I think, is in his 30s. Al Green is in his
78.
70s, 78 years old.
Yeah, yeah. Menifee is 37.
So it is definitely a generational fight. It is not one generation versus another. It's literally the boomers versus everybody. it's a, it's a, it is it's an interesting conversation around the boomer generation and about how they were so a part of massive change in this country, and they are, not letting go of power. And you got Gen Xers who haven't, had their seats yet. You got millennials that are right behind them, and you got Gen Zers that are now also taking seats in Congress. And it's just these three generations are there's a backlog where they're waiting for their
Yes,
spot. So,
exactly. And
so that's what we're doing in
yeah, and
Chicago as well.
exactly. And on that note, I'd see a bunch of, boomers here. You got Tasha, you got Thomas, you got Milo, you represent not, I mean, you said in the comment, I don't want to talk about your age on, without permission, but I will, as like always like to caveat with these conversations, is that we're talking mostly about, people who are just unwilling to give up their power, right? Like you said, Charles, like the boomer generation was a big part of the civil rights change we got. They were
Yes.
in these anti-war fights. Like the boomer generation
Hmm.
was just such a force for change, and that
Yeah.
like, and everyone here, like it's really more about just like being it. Like Nancy Pelosi knew, right? Like there was time to like, okay, she's gonna step aside. Steny Hoyer kind of
Hmm.
step down, and it's like I think yeah, as Thomas, you agreeing too. Like a lot of people agreeing that it's more about shifting the generation. Like when it comes to Biden, for example, too, as much as we all love Joe Biden, right? Like everyone in hindsight knows that it was probably best if he had maybe given room for a primary or stepped down or
Yes.
said it was just going to be one term earlier.
Yep.
Because I know if it was a 65-year-old Biden, we'd be in term two. Brother
Yeah.
Biden out here whooping.
Easy.
65-year-old Biden was the one who was beating down on Paul Ryan in the VP
He,
debates, right? Like,
yeah, he's the one
you know,
talking about taking people out back,
no, exactly.
you
Yeah, yeah,
know, he
yeah.
was,
So like,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. So and exactly like Mila's saying, like you never stop. You're still working for change. And yeah, and that's the thing. There's this appetite in that generation where they're like they still want to be part of the fight.
yeah.
And I think that
And there's a
that's
different way
where
to do it. There's a different way. You,
exactly
you don't have
there's
to disappear.
yes,
We'd love
exactly.
for you to stick around and mentor people. Like Nancy Pelosi is not disappearing. Nancy Pelosi is
Yeah.
very quietly choosing her successor. She is aligning fundraisers to go
Hmm.
and back the person who she thinks should take her seat. She's, these are this is the stage in your life you should transition to. Um, Clyburn, 85 years
Yeah.
old.
Get to Clyburn. Yeah.
Clyburn should be choosing a successor. Okay, he's one of the most powerful. He's the most powerful politician in South Carolina, on the Democratic side. He should be showing everybody that there's somebody else who he wants to get behind, who shares his values, and he should be leading from beside this person, if not behind him. But it's this is where we like to point to narcissism and ego on the other side, and we've got a healthy amount of it on our side too. We do.
Yeah, I mean, I think people do have big egos, and they think they should stay. Like, I think Clyburn would be incredible if he just left on top. I know he wants to
Yeah.
stay in because he wants to be there to maybe gavel in first Black Speaker of the House, which would be Hakeem Jeffries if he were to win that speakership fight. Because there's a lot of people who are not
Yeah.
committing to whether or not he would be the leader, right? So yeah, I mean, I think you're
They
right.
would let
Like,
Clyburn in, man. They would let him visit,
yeah, yeah, no, that's the thing. But the thing is, he'll still be there. Like his term would
Yeah.
end in January. But like the thing is, it's like I just think, yeah, like everyone, everyone in the chat, you guys get it. Like
Mhm.
Leslie saying, it's yeah, all of you. Like it's about like the wisdom of people who've been here for a long time, guided, that guide the youthful energy and like new worldviews that
Yeah.
can push things forward. Like just to name off some of the people, because I want to get into more nuance of the discussion. It's just some of the stuff like I just wrote it down, so I'm looking down. That's what I'm looking at. So we've got Representative David Scott in Georgia, who's caught dozing off during Trump's State of the Union. He's facing multiple primary challengers. He's 80 years
Mhm.
old. We've got
Wait. David Scott specifically. David Scott. The news came out. This dude hasn't even voted. Like he doesn't even vote, and I think it's like he doesn't vote in like regular elections. Like the
okay,
guy
well,
hasn't for in
yeah,
years.
I mean, yeah, I mean, there's right. So it's like there's that, and then we have all these
Shout
other
out to
examples.
Jasmine Clark is
Yeah,
challenging him. Jasmine Clark is
exactly.
a talk about next gen superstar in the making. Jasmine Clark is somebody that we're considering going to knock doors for in that race
Yeah.
specifically. She is a powerhouse over there.
Yeah, exactly. So you got Herb there. Obviously there's Steve Cohen, who is in
Hmm.
Tennessee, who's being challenged by his former intern, Justin Pearson,
Justin Pearson.
who we know is from, the Tennessee Three, one of them that got ejected for basically standing the ground on the floor there. And so
For
there's
gun
that fight
rights.
going on for gun
Yeah.
rights, and you're the
And
one, you guys are door knocking for Justin as
we're
well.
sending volunteers there for that primary, and
Yeah.
we're actually going to have him up to Seattle for a fundraiser. We're getting behind him big, big, big. We met with him on a learning tour, I think in January, and that guy is so impressive.
Oh yeah, he's brilliant, and it's just I could keep naming a bunch of people, but everyone gets the gist. But the thing is, like the
We
contrast
can go
here is
through
that
them. Keep going, man. This is good.
yeah, no, I mean, like, we've also got in Connecticut Representative John Larson, 77, who
Oh,
froze while making a speech in the House floor.
yeah.
He's being challenged by the former mayor, Luke Bronin, who's 46.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have all of these different examples here. You've got Representative Shri Thanader, I hope I pronounced that right, 71, is being challenged by State Representative who is 33, who's outraised him. And then, the
Mm,
contrast here is that you have people like Jerry Nadler, who who announced he would retire.
he did.
And Jerry Nadler's a powerhouse, chairman of the House
Hmm.
Judiciary Committee. He has been in this fight for so long. People were having this discussion even back during the impeachment hearings when,
Hmm.
he got upset that Adam Schiff was taking, was kind of like he like sprinted to try to get to the
Oh,
podium to
yeah.
try to beat Adam Schiff. Like, that's like, but even he
Yeah.
recognized. So it's like, there's a way to do it in a dignified way. And I really think that that's what's happening here. It's not just about like, I think, there's some people who talk about it disrespectfully,
Hmm.
frankly, about the age, like, oh, these geezers got to go, like with that energy, and it's
Yeah.
like that's not the case. There are also plenty of people who are older that they're still
Yeah.
connected, but the thing is,
Bernie.
it's Bernie, but he's also he probably he shouldn't be absolved of the conversation, frankly, as well, because he's getting up there. But on this note, I just
No,
want
no,
to
I'm
before
saying
I
like he's older, and
oh yeah,
he's also like bringing a AOC with him and
no,
lifting
exactly,
people up.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's literally like been like mentoring, right? He's
Hmm.
shifting into that
Hmm.
mentor, but he could also, and that, step aside too. But also, I would say, Barack Obama, who's in his 60s, who's pretty
Mm.
much, that's pretty much a teenager in congressional years,
Yeah.
is he said that you pretty much age out. He was on that
Yeah.
Brian Tyler Cohen podcast and saying that he's making this case for generational change. So it's
Yeah.
not like some fringe. It's not like just David Hogg with his nonprofit. Biden at the DNC saying let's. He's obviously was making some good points, but it's not just him like trying to agitate the DNC saying this. It's Barack Obama saying
Yeah.
this, right? Like the most popular Democrat on the planet. So that's just the kind of whole big picture of these generational fights.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're some of these the interesting thing about the generational pieces is it does come with ideology. So the younger candidates are more likely to say that they're not going to take APAC money or big corporation money or corporate PAC money, right? They're
Yeah,
more likely to come from um, uh, working class communities, to be adjacent to them, to belong to working class communities themselves, because wealth inequality is actually breaking across generational lines.
yeah,
And so they end up having more populist policies. They end up being able to speak, to your point, on technology like AI, on social media, because they grew up with them, because they live and swim in those waters. Some of them they use it for work, and so they understand how to make policies and laws for them. They understand, how to talk to corporations about these things. They
yeah,
understand the impact of a monopoly. And if you are as financially secure as some of these people in Congress are, largely because so many of them trade stocks based on their inside knowledge, which is another issue, that these outsiders and these young challengers tend to bring. You're just going to represent the people in a different way, and in my opinion, better. We are choosing to back candidates who are believe almost all those things, and also unite people across the political spectrum. And that's the other. the other kind of major difference here is that so many of the establishment Democrats are like blue no matter who, and they're like, uh, respect our donors, and these are our priorities. This is like old school kind of transactional kind of way of doing things is how they do it. And the new school people are like, no, fuck the old shit and the way we've been doing things. It's not fair. It's not transparent. It doesn't represent the people. Wealthy people's opinions are not the most important ones, et cetera. Like the generational change is maybe an indicator of like a larger like ideological battle.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to definitely dive into the different components of the ideological battle and the differences because
Let's do it.
there's so many different angles there. Also, just on that note, of just like the establishment mentality, like, also the comments, by the way, yes, keep commenting, keep hitting that like button. You already know, smash the like button. If you're joining late, hit the subscribe button to Ahmed Baba News. Subscribe to Common Power, and Charles Douglas send volunteers across the country to door knock for Democrats. They've been doing it for a long time now, since I think 7 or so years, and they're doing incredible work. So follow them, subscribe to them, and also if you have not become a paid subscriber to me, support my independent journalism. We in the top 100 Substacks. You already know
That's
that's
right.
because of
That's
you
right.
guys. Top 100 rising in U.S. politics. So thank you guys for engaging in these lives. It's inspired me to do more of them, and that's why we're rising. So thank you. Keep it up. And yes, I think when it comes to this age piece, sometimes people are reluctant to have the conversation because some people, yes, do have it so disrespectfully. But there is a mentality difference where you can have people come in with that ideological sentiment that's necessary to push people to change. But as we see, there are people like AOC that can come in there with that rabble rousing mentality and then grow beyond it as
Mhm.
well. Like AOC is now one of the most one of the brightest Congress people
Yeah.
there, frankly, and she didn't butt heads with Pelosi. She collabed. Like people thought
Yeah.
she was going to come in and shake everything up, but she did it in a way that was very measured and still, but rebukes the old establishment orthodoxies. So I think there's that side of it, and one of that is I do want to bring up the war because Iran war, because I think young people generally, as we saw with Vietnam, as we see every time,
Mhm.
in Iraq, we, especially this generation now with Gaza, are just like frankly done with, like, we just don't understand the brutality of killing. There's this way that NatSec and older people think about, just like these people of that generation, like Biden, for example,
Yeah.
the old school way of thinking about war and the casualties as just like doing the
Like it's
business of
necessary.
war.
Yeah,
Just
like
like the
it's
business of
necessary.
war. Like it's a
Yeah.
what, but like we all kind of, I don't know if it's just us or what it is, but like feel every death.
Mhm.
It's like there's like a sense of injustice that, of course, the boomer generation experienced in Vietnam. Right here, Sandra saying 70, what we saw in Vietnam, and it's like somewhere along the way, the people who are in power stayed in power so long that go through war to war to war, where they, I guess, just end up seeing this as just normal. The kids that in Iran that were just killed. The fact
Yeah.
that like there's not universal backlash to that because what, they're Iranian kids,
Mhm.
and we've just dehumanized Middle Eastern kids. So, and Thomas, yeah, I know you're saying you've been anti-war. I'm talking about the people in power right now, where it's like the ones who have been in NatSec brain speak for years. You guys are
Mhm.
here. You in this chat, of course, you're all anti-war. I'm not talking about boomers generally. I always want to make clear we're talking about those in power
Yeah.
that have been insulated from the common people. And Arlene, yeah, I'm not saying Biden glorified war, but I do think he was in Foreign Relations Committee for maybe too long, and also didn't really seem to, grapple with the scale of what was going on with Gaza and how devastating it was, that and how much people wanted him to push back on Netanyahu.
Mhm.
So I don't think he glorified war, but I do think it is indicative of just that old school NatSec way of thinking. But Charles, I'm
Yeah, I
droning
mean,
on.
he didn't well, I mean, he didn't push back against the killing that was happening in
I mean, he
Gaza.
did, but not
Not
as
enough. Not
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 not he
not in the way he
he
should have.
saw he saw Israel as Israel from the 90s, not
Right,
Netanyahu's Israel. That's what the
right.
problem was.
Where it's like, yeah, but that's what you're saying. Where it's like a little bit of killing's fine, right? Like a few bombs are fine. Okay, 10, 20,000 people is fine. Like that doesn't cross the line. And that is what you're saying is there's a different opinion now where it's like any is
Yeah.
bad. Let's not do
Yes.
any of it. Let's choose diplomacy instead. Let's not like use our missiles as a way of negotiating. And
Yeah.
as folks on the left, let's not co-sign it when we know that it's crazy. Because didn't the Democrats like vote in with the Republicans for I can't even keep up with all the news. But
No, yeah,
we
they
shouldn't.
were like they haven't like committed to rejecting new funding
Right,
for that would go to the war. And
right.
yeah, I mean there's that too. And also Arlene, you saying, talking about Ukraine. Yes, Ukraine as well. There's like a revulsion to just deaths in any war. But go ahead, Charles.
Yeah. So like it should be it's very clean cut to us. Like it shouldn't happen. And this is definitely a war that we chose to get involved in. And yeah, this is the opposite of what he ran against. He ran on this and got a bunch of younger people to swing over to his side because they really we're done with war. We've lived through it for most of our lives and we don't want to see it anymore. And we know that there are other options because to the point about Biden and Obama, like we've successfully negotiated with Iran, and got peace from it. So yeah, it
Yeah,
is
yeah.
unfortunate.
It is unfortunate, and yeah, and I think like we're now going to start to see more of a realization that they're going to start to see Netanyahu for who he is, and that he's not representative of Israel, and him are not synonymous.
Hmm.
Like you can criticize him without the Israeli people, right? Like he's the one dragging this further than it needs to be, and that he convinced Trump to do this. But yeah, I mean, I think overall there's just a new way of thinking, and it's not just about age. There are people who are just have that right, the younger, fresher view that things can change,
Hmm.
and then just that like we don't have to do things the same way. And I just think like when it comes to Iran, I just know like for me, I've evolved a lot on this. Like I used to, I've covered all these wars, and I used to, you know, I don't know. My idea of what a necessary war is really shrunk. Where it's like World War II, yeah, Hitler was a psychopath. He needed to be stopped. But I think young people understand that if it's like a war of choice, or just going to go in and destabilize
Hmm.
a region, no one wants that. And I think a lot of people across generations feel that same way. And then also there's other ideological issues too, that we're seeing these divergences from. And also I got to clarify again. I see you guys in the comments. We are not talking about all boomers when we talk about what's happening. All right, we are talking about the
This
people
is
in
why
power
this
that are
is yeah.
refusing to give away power.
This is why
And
people don't talk
we're
about
talking,
generational
yeah,
difference because
like we're
people are very
never.
sensitive to it.
Yes, and yeah, and Sandra, yes, I know you boomers in the chat. Like there's so many. Uh, Boomers are you guys are pretty much a lot of my subscriber base. Like I love you guys. Like it's about the people in power we're speaking about. We're talking about the older generations that are in power that are refusing to give up power, not you guys specifically. Okay, just got to keep clarifying that over and over again, so you guys don't think we're insulting any of you. You're clearly here. You still believe in the right things. We're just talking about when you're trying to build a more a better framework for the future, you have to you have to you have to create a bridge for future generations to
Yeah,
feel
and,
included in the coalition.
yeah,
That's all.
we it has to be talked about because this is a reality that voters look at in this country, and we're not going to ignore that. In the same way that race and gender was a factor in the primary in Texas and in the presidential last year when people decided not to vote for Harris and for Clinton. There are many other things, and also the racism, sexism is a thing, and the generational differences when it comes to how we experience life is a thing that people consider when they vote. So that's like we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about how the younger generations are going to vote for younger people because they see themselves, and how there are three generations now of adults that are not taking their place in power because there are older folks that are staying there. That's just like a fact. That is a fact of the matter.
Yeah, and yeah, and that's what, that, and frankly, the conversation just needs to happen. It needs to happen respectfully. That's what we're trying to do here. And again, like, you know, I see you in the chat, guys. Most people get it. Those of you who are commenting, like, you are in these lives with me every day, for several weeks, for months, years now at this point. I'm not a ageist person, so like, just cut all that, okay? Like, we're here to talk about a real conversation needs to be had, one that wasn't had in 2024 or 2022, when there should have been a primary with Biden, and then now we are in a place where the world is being ravaged by a psychopath, right? So I think we need to be in a place where we have these conversations. Um, yeah, I get, I actually agree. I think, like, there are people who do generalize too much. And we're talking specifically about Democratic leaders, not the general population. Okay. Just gonna reaffirm that over and over again throughout the live so you guys understand. So yes, and I think what's important here is that there needs to be this bridge, because we saw in the civil rights era too. I'm sure you've seen it. You go down to Selma all the time. There's leaders who've been there for a long time that you have to then train and pass the baton to the
Mhm.
next generation, and you have to do it in a way that doesn't seek to hoard, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I think that's what's necessary here. And you're right, Republican Party doesn't have much of this problem, because most of the time they'll leave office to go grift, right? Like,
Oh
either
yeah.
either either it's like they've got like you said, a scandal that takes them out of office before
Hmm.
they are in there too long, or they just like, what, I'm gonna go lobby, or I'm gonna go
Yeah.
sell stocks, or I'm gonna, they dip out. So I
Somebody
think,
comes in, they pay them off.
yes,
They pay them so they don't, so they don't run anymore, and they don't have to. There's not an ideological issue. There's like a, hey, listen, I'll give you this job over here that pays you 3 times as much, and you're not going to take any of the heat that you're getting in this seat right now.
exactly, exactly. And yeah, and I really do think, like, so there's the war side of this ideologically. Just get back on topic. We've got the war. We've got, like you said, there's the approach to taking certain corporate money, whether it's APAC, whether it's other lobbyists, and then there's just the general, like, from one of the key things, especially, is technology. Like,
Hmm.
obviously, there's a lot of savvy with technology. Like, I think Blumenthal and, like, Klobuchar particularly
Yeah.
really get, like, tech regulation, so it's not really as much of an age problem. But now with AI, like, it's just, I think it's not necessarily even just age. People of younger age need to be out there. You need more engineers, or like former, or people who, like, understand technology to be in there, because if it wasn't for Trump flattening the debate
Mm,
that we have, one of the central conversations we'd be having right now is about the massively disruptive technology that is AI, that
yeah.
is going to usurp our entire workforce, that is going to give potential possibility for, I mean, mass surveillance, autonomous
Yeah.
weapons. Like, we would be regulating this, we'd be discussing it, it'd be our central debate. But instead, we're having a debate about whether or not people deserve rights, or whether or not people should be killed on the streets, or whether or not
The
we should
Overton
be we
window
should
has
be murdering
shifted.
people in the Middle East. So
Yeah.
it's like, we need to, like, flood Congress with people who are willing to have these constructive conversations.
Well, that's an interesting point. So the running for office, being a candidate has been like a job that people try to ladder up to, and you see people go, well, they'll become. It's like, okay, I want to be a congressperson or a senator, so I gotta go and work on campaigns. I
Hmm.
gotta go to law school. And then I get to run for office, for a lower thing, and then I get to run for officer. Like, people, like, ladder up to that, and so, like, their whole
Yeah.
belief system is about, like, me getting in the seat and power,
Yes.
and that's what this has become. Instead, and this was what the US House was supposed to be. It was supposed to be representative of regular people,
Hmm.
and it's supposed to be something that takes up a small amount of your time. You're supposed to have a regular job, which is why, it's not supposed to make you rich. And you're supposed to gather people from all over. And it's supposed to cycle through really quickly. That's why it's 2-year terms.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to get these, like, you're supposed to get, like, farmers and and machine workers and technical engineers and plumbers and teachers and all these people who come in, and it hasn't been that. It's been these like grifters and or
Yeah.
people who are all about themselves. Not entirely, but we're skewing towards these like career politician people. And now we're with all these challengers in these primaries, we're starting to get people who are just regular people
Yeah.
who are coming up and they're just like, you know what? I'm so outraged. I'm actually going to run for office. I'm so inspired. I'm actually going to run for office. This person's been here too long and no one else is doing anything. And so I feel like I can do this. In addition to organizations like Run for Something and Emily's List and all these orgs that are specifically built to go and find regular Americans who can run for office and train them up so it doesn't feel like it's so distant. So it's both like the moment arriving and also the structures that have grown like since Obama and then in this Trump decade to support folks on the left that are like rising up all these brand new people from all over the place.
No, exactly. And I'm glad you brought up like the careerist attitude too, because it's about like this new generation of people. Um, like AOC, for example, is a bartender. Like we're
Mhm.
seeing people who it's not like a professional class to go into office. It's more just like regular. Yes, we got Whitney mentioned Kat in there.
Mhm.
And she's running in Chicago, who you're going to door knock for next week. And
She's a journalist.
yeah, she was a journalist. Yeah, she was a Media Matters, but always be sharing her work. And
Mhm.
you have these people who are coming in from different vocations and people who really believe in just making a difference. And it's not like some like career path where you need to get to some place and do this because you want, it's actually about making a change. And yeah, I mean, I really do think it is this. It's not just about the age issue. It's about just a way of thinking and a way of
Mhm.
approaching the world. And I think you're right. That's the key point. It's supposed to be representative. It's supposed to be representative. So if the majority of the country is of a certain age, then why is the majority representation that,
Right.
right? So it's like what we need is more representation of the different age groups here, the different mindsets, the different generations. And yes, like Sandra says here in the comments, politics should be about service, and we need to stop attracting grifters. And I think you're right. I think people in the comments were talking about term limits, other reforms. Banning insider trading, I think, is also really important. There's
Yes.
so many other things that we need to like make it so you go into Congress specifically uh for service. And I think that is one of the key changes. And honestly, like that's why it's hard because in order to get those reforms, the people who are in power are the ones that got to
They
pass
need
it.
to vote. They need to pass
They got
them.
to vote to
Exactly.
limit their own
It's like
their
asking
own
the Supreme
power.
Court to expand itself and place limits.
Yeah, no, exactly, right? So it's like, yeah, it's about character. It's about, yeah, Thomas Day says, character vetting is essential. Yep. Maura talking about Citizens United. You're right, Maura. Arlene, yes, ban insider trading. Sandra thinking, yes, John Lewis, John McCain, she said Abraham Lincoln, Booker T. Washington. People go in there for service, people who actually really are about that life. And it's like, we need to make it an honorable profession again.
Yeah.
That's what we
Agree.
need to.
Agree. And I think that's what's going on right now. That is definitely what's going on right now. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in these primaries. They'll tell us a lot about where the American people are. The Texas primary told us, what kind of fighter we're looking for. In a state like that, there was somebody who unites across political difference. People are looking to come together across political difference. They're tired of fighting
Yes.
on these like hard lines of Democrat versus Republican, and they don't want to villainize the other side. These are their neighbors. These are people who kind of live next door to them, and they're tired of having these political fights all the time, everywhere with everybody. So I think that we're going to see this. So the upcoming elections that are primaries in May and June, that we're going to be looking at. Grand Plattner in Maine's a big one. It's another generational fight. It's another working class versus establishment Dem in that primary, running against Janet Mills, who I think is in
Mhm.
her 70s and has been in politics for years and years. We're looking at the Justin Pearson one that you named, where he's running against someone who's been in the seat for decades,
Mhm.
an older white man again versus young black man. So race comes into that as well. These are all multifaceted things. But
Yeah.
again, the views, the political views are vastly different. There's establishment that is closer to corporations, and then the young challenger who is more about working class people and representing them, and actually open to taxing wealthy people in order to pay for services for those younger generations.
Yeah.
We're also looking at California. There's a ton of House races in California. We're going for one of them, and then we're looking at like Colorado. There's another primary there. Milat, I forget her last name. She's running for office there. And then Iowa for Rob Sand, who's running for governor, and it's a primary that he's going to win, but we're going because Rob Sand is representative of a different kind of Democrat, right? So we ourselves are not uh, concrete cemented to this, one ideology. It is different types of leaders that are viable in different places. And so Rob Sand is a guy who he would not win in New York. He wouldn't win in Tennessee. Him and Justin Pearson are vastly different in terms of their platforms, but they agree that there needs to be a change in power. The establishment thinking needs to go away. We need to get less cozy with big corporations and not allow them to run everything that goes on in the state. And he's coming at it from a younger generation perspective. So it's all over the country. This is happening, and yeah, we'll be there on the ground.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate you for doing that. Also appreciate y'all for hitting that like button. Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to back candidates that you think could appeal beyond party lines, because I really do think that there's a situation where there is not a dedicated, loyalty to Trump, right? From the young men especially. Like young men are they were kind of the quickest to abandon Trump,
Yeah.
right? And I think they're easy to get, right? There's a lot of fluidity here, where people can really move. But yeah, we're seeing a debate in the chat about Grant Plattner. I have my own thoughts on him. I'm not like, personally, I'm not whole hog on Plattner, because I still think he got to apologize on the black people tipping thing. He kind of skirted over that one for me. That one is,
I
he
mean,
walked back all
here's
his other
my
comments except that one.
here,
But
go ahead.
I do get I look at the polling and I see the polling is very clear that he would potentially beat Collins more.
So
But
so yeah, the polling is very clear that he's the better candidate. So here's my thing about this. I think so many people look at candidates all across the country and think about if they would vote for them. What do I think about them? What do I like about them? And most of these people are not people I would vote for. Okay, these are not all people I'm like, I am excited about this person. I think that I would have them be my leader. I live in Seattle. I live in one of the bluest cities in the country and one of the bluest
mm,
states in the country. Shame on me if I bring my super liberal views. Like I put my plastic, my plastic bags and my plastic wrappers into a bag and put it on the curb for a service that comes pick it up that I pay for. I pay extra to recycle my plastic film, sir. Okay. I rip the labels off of jars and shit. I compost. Like there's all kinds of stuff that is normal for me that is not normal for the rest of the country. Shame on me to bring my ultra liberal views into Maine, into Texas, into Iowa, and think that what I think is right is how they should live. Right? I was just in El Paso knocking on doors, and in Seattle, I've been taught that the word Hispanic is a negative term, and that the people should be called Latino or Latinx. Down there, they're like, we're Hispanic, and we don't like your liberal bullshit about your Latinx stuff, because that's us. This is us. We call ourselves Hispanic, sir. So keep your shit at home. Like that's what we learned by knocking on doors. So here's the thing about these candidates that we're backing. I'm not choosing Graham Plattner. I'm not the one making the polls go up for Graham Plattner. I'm not the ones donating to him and all that. Like these are people in Maine that have decided that this is their guy. And so what we're doing is we're reading the tea leaves on this. When we went and knocked doors for James Tallarico, I love Jasmine Crockett. I wish that she was the candidate. And yet everything that we are seeing about the trends of voters in Texas, around the country, are pointing to this. And so my job is not to be like, who do I love and who I think is the best person or whatever. It's how do we make sure that we regain the voters that we lost in 2024? It is a very simple question. I want so bad to be able to replay the 2024 election, and we can't do that. What we can do, though, is we can reach out to those voters that we lost. Who did we lose? We lost a lot of young people and young men especially. Okay, so who are the candidates that are going to gain us back these young men? Because if we're going to reason with them, if we're going to make a case to them that this is the country we should be, here's how you should vote. If we're going to do things like education or we're going to talk about character, we have to have people who are willing to listen to us, who feel like we listen to them. So this is the election where we get to prove to them that there's a place for them on our side, in our party, on the left, and that we want to listen to them and that they should listen to us. So this is how we broaden the tent, we bring them into our coalition, and then we talk to them. And we bring them along. We make them better voters, we make them better citizens, and we teach them that they should want and do more. In the same way, we're talking about AOC. AOC did not come into Congress super respectful. She didn't. Replay, go and look in the Wayback Machine. AOC came in and immediately participated in a protest right outside of Nancy Pelosi's office. There were a bunch of folks that were protesting outside of Nancy Pelosi's office. They were sitting in her office. The media cameras were there, and AOC sat right there with them and protested in Congress at one of her, at Nancy Pelosi, her leaders, right in front of her door. She wasn't there to be who she is today. She had to learn over time. And so, in the same way that that the AOC developed into this better representative, I think that voters are going to also be developed, and we got to bring them in so that they can feel like they belong here. And that's what's
Yeah.
happening around the country.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm glad we're having this conversation, by the way. Everyone in the chat, like, it's good to we need a space for this, because I think there are conversations that are happening that are always kind of devolving into just like, a black or white stance on this. And like, I even broached my own skepticism of Plattner myself, right? Like I'm not 100% on like whether or not he would be the best choice or not. I see the polling, people like him. But the one angle I do think that bodes well for him is that young men angle when it comes to redemption. So like one of the things the Democratic Party needs to do is, if people make mistakes, and I get, that tattoo, pretty, terrible potential mistake, right? I mean, he was claiming he didn't know what it was, right? The potential Nazi tattoo. He thought it was a military situation there. But my point is, if someone apologizes and in their action over the course of years proves to be a different person, do we? Yeah, Thomas, I don't know if it was a mistake or not. I'm not on the guy's head. I'm just saying what he said it was. But what I am saying is that, like, with people, there, do we decide that there's no way back? And that's one of the things I've been thinking a lot about with radicalization, right? So, like, with Rant, we used to partner with the analysis for the Center for Radical Right in the Europe, right? And they specialize in de-radicalization. So they would talk to former Nazis. They would talk to people and run programs to deprogram and de-radicalize people who were literally actually Nazis, not just like a tattoo or not just, a symbol, who actually had Nazi behavior, who actually, tried to inflict violence on minorities, right? And these people would they would de-radicalize people, bring them back into society, and then help them de-radicalize other people. Do I believe that those neo-Nazis no longer had a place in the world? No, because now those people are doing God's work, frankly, of de-radicalizing others, right? I definitely don't think that's what Plattner was. But what my point is here, if the Democratic Party, which is one of the things I personally believe is one of the failings of the previous era where we were just fully, what people call woke one, because I guess we're in woke two now, is that uh, you can't tell people that there's no way back.
Yeah.
You can't tell people that if they make a mistake or do something terrible, that they're fucked.
Yeah.
Because if you do that, I'm not saying you have to elect all of them to Congress, but if you tell them that there's no way back, their only route
Mhm.
is right wing grift. Frankly, I'm not saying we forgive everybody, but what ends up happening is what we ended up seeing. If you tell people there is no way you can have a way back and you can apologize, yeah, I'm not saying specifically we 100% have to gift everybody a Senate seat for that. But I'm saying if someone is making a case that they are a different person and that they can have a message to other people to come back, maybe that can be an argument. And again, I'm not saying I'm making that argument here. For those of you in the comments, if you missed what I said earlier, I'm just saying that that's one of the cases people are making on his behalf. That's for me on lawmaking and an election is a different story. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out where I stand on it. But generally, if I'm talking about like it's like our conversation we're having about former Trumpers right now, right? People who are saying like I want to get off this ride now. They did a lot of harm,
Mhm.
but we have to provide a road back. We have to let
Yeah.
them do the work to come back into the fold, or their only route that they will see forward is to just double down or go
Yeah.
or go full grifter mode. So like
Yeah.
that's the redemption side of it is something that I do think conversations we need to have. I'm not saying that I'm not again, Thomas. I'm not saying that in the chat. I'm not saying Glenn
Thomas is
Platinum
the
deserves a
third participant in
I'm not
this
saying that
live stream.
I'm not saying that he deserves a Senate seat. I didn't say that. I personally, like I said, I'm skeptical. What I'm saying is I'm talking broadly about the mentality of the Democratic Party is that young people make mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes when I was in high school, for example. I had to clean myself up and change my life. If I had been told when I was a young man that there's actually no way you can redeem yourself for some stupid thing you said online, what's your path? So like that's really my broader point. And I know it's hard. But I do understand. And Amy, I see you said, you're struggling with the conversation. I'm personally not a Grant Patner fan. I'm personally not sure whether or not he's the right person. I'm talking broadly about a mentality of forgiveness potentially or giving people a way to de-radicalize. Generally, that's what I'm broaching as the potential framework that people might apply there. Okay, so that's my broad take on that.
Yeah, I think that we I think that these like litmus tests where we take our own values and try to paste it across the country is how you lose elections. And I know this is from knocking on doors in almost every state in the country. Um, People just they believe different things than we do, and if we're going to reach them, like the reason why we're winning these elections is because people who were in opposition to us switched to our side. And it's not because a bunch of liberals woke up and decided to vote. It's because people who voted for Trump multiple times sometimes decided to come and over to our side. And so we could be like, fuck you guys. Which is how we feel. That's how I feel sometimes. I feel betrayed by them. I feel like they did this to us, and yet we need them. We need them, and we need the people who they choose as their leaders we need to negotiate with people who are sane people. So there's a House seat down in the southern part of Washington State, and there's a Democrat down there, and her name is Marie Gluesenkamp Perez. And Marie Gluesenkamp Perez won her seat from a MAGA Republican, like hard right MAGA
Yeah,
Nazi adjacent dude. Like she won her seat from this guy, and we helped her to get that seat. She is now one of the 4 Democrats in the House that is voting for the SAVE Act. Like she continues to vote for the SAVE Act, which we know
yeah,
is going to harm trans people's right to vote,
yeah,
married women's right to vote. Anyone who's changed their name is going to make it way harder for them to vote.
exactly.
And we're grappling with this right now because a lot of people are like, we don't want to support her anymore. So if we took away all of the liberal folks that are mad about her and took away all their support and their votes and their donations and everything like that, there's a possibility she loses that seat. And she loses it to a Republican who's going to vote with Republicans 100% of the time. So now we've got the choice. The choice here in that district is, do we let it go back to Republicans? Do we say, like, you've crossed the
It's a
line
hard
for us
choice.
on our values, right? We don't love that. We're not about the choices that you're making. And so we are going to not support you anymore. And so the seat goes back to Republicans. Or do we say, we're going to do this thing that we don't like because we know that we have to do it, because we'd rather negotiate with somebody who is a sane representative who's far right on the left versus somebody who we know we can't talk to. And it is a responsible move to do that. It doesn't feel good, but this is the reality of, again, I think we talked about this in the last live. We have to make decisions that we're
Yeah.
not 100% okay with. And that
Yeah.
is the reality of politics today. If we're going to
Yeah.
truly have a large coalition, it has to be made up of people who don't agree on a lot of things and
And
agree on more things.
and then I'm glad the conversation got here, to be honest, because it's really hard. And yeah, I mean, like, to be honest, and again, you're making the tough decisions because you're in the trenches. Sometimes like when I saw those votes, I'm on the side of some of the people in the chat where I was like, primary Maria, right? Like, I'm just like, I want her gone. But then you bring up that point of where it's like, would you rather have someone you can negotiate with, or have someone, like, for example, would you rather have Manchin or no Manchin? Would you rather have
Right now,
would,
we
would you
wish we
rather
had a
yeah
mansion.
would you rather have had, like, and again, Manchin sucked. I
Yeah,
disliked Manchin fiercely.
yeah,
Um um and it's like, you know, and again, like, I have my own personal, I'm not the one that has to make these hard choices of endorsing these people. That's you. I have my own, yeah. Like, you got to make. I have my own principles. I can sit here and talk about, like Amy said, she's thanking Thomas for having principles on opposing, Platter and some of these other people. First of all, cinema, for example, especially, like, again, I think there's more we
Oh
need to
yeah,
do to prevent these
she's the
people from
worst.
getting in the first place.
Yeah,
Like, cinema specifically gave a lot of flags that she was going to, like, switch voting wise. And Fetterman, I think, honestly, is one of those situations where I don't know what happened with the stroke, but he literally,
I think.
his personality
Yeah,
changed entirely, and it was really sad. My mom had a stroke, so, like, you know, a different situation. Um, so, like, yeah, I think there's a way to, like, stop people from getting in that we think, you know, or you see if you can hold them accountable. I don't know. It's hard. That's why it sucks. There's no impeachment clause in the Senate. You can, like, I guess they can eject someone, but yeah, like, it's one of these things where it's like, in you know in the Democratic Party specifically, you have to, and especially in these times, you have to make really hard decisions that are not sometimes, you know, the most pure. Like, we could, if we, I'm sure there are a lot of people that didn't vote for Kamala Harris in 2024 because they're upset about Gaza, that felt really principled that day.
hmm
When they didn't vote for her because of what what they saw as Biden's, uh, approach to Gaza. And but now look,
right.
now we're in a situation where that vote may have preserved your principles, but it destroyed the entire country.
Yeah,
So it's like, these are the hard conversations we need to be having. Like, even me and you seem to disagree on some of these things. And we're like, that's, you're my
of
dog,
course.
and it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
so,
yeah.
but
It's all
so,
right.
and people in the chat either agree and disagree, and that's the point. Is
Yeah,
that I'm glad we're even doing, I'm glad we started doing the lives here, is because I think, like, we just need to be having these conversations, because ultimately, especially everyone in this chat, and me and you, we're all on the side of wanting, authoritarianism to fall.
yeah,
And, as independent journalists, I see the fourth estate as basically being pro-democracy. So therefore, right now, I see that Democrats need to win.
hmm
Right. So I think, like, we're all on the same side here. It's just a discussion, hard, really tough discussions
yeah,
about, like, how we get there. And, I'm glad we're doing these here, because maybe we do a lot of these just on this. Like, we talk about the day's news and stuff, but, like, really diving into these conversations, these hard conversations, have them in a civil way
Yeah.
about like what the strategies need to be put in place. Like, what are you willing to accept from candidates? If you know that they'll win and hold that seat so that you have the numbers, like Manchin was terrible, but Manchin allowed us to have a majority to get, Inflation Reduction Act,
Hmm.
allowed us like a seat to get specific things, right? So like I'd rather he was still in the Senate. Cinema, Cinema was
Cinema's
a fake.
worse.
Cinema was
She was
like
a fake,
actually
a fake
yeah,
senator.
like she had no reason to do that. My problem is like Manchin was in like a state that was red. Like
Yeah,
Manchin was
yeah,
in a
yeah,
red state.
yeah,
What are you doing in Arizona? Acting like that. Like,
yeah.
what are you
So
doing?
yeah, the when she did the vote where she like curtsied and did
Oh
and
my
like killed
god.
the what was that bill? What did she kill? Was it healthcare?
I think it was something involved like helping people. I gotta
It
look at
was
it again.
and she
Oh,
that's one of those things where it's like there's gonna be a statue of you in the like the halls of horribleness of you
yeah.
curtsying as people suffer. Now she's like super rich working for corporations,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. That's what she wanted to do. And Fetterman too makes no sense, other than I think he had a
Oh
personality
man.
change after. And I don't want to just speak on his health, but like,
Yeah.
it's literally someone who had two parents who had a stroke. I understand.
Hmm.
So it's like he had a personality change,
Yeah.
straight up, turned to a different person, because something is happening there. Like I saw him like trying to downplay the children that were killed in Iran as like
Did he
the meat.
really?
He was on CNN with Caitlin Collins acting like the press was talking about it
God.
too much. And I'm like, dude, that's not you, man.
Oh man.
And
That
like from everything
he
I've read, like from his staff and his like, it's just
you
sad.
know
It's a
what?
sad story because apparently they're all saying he's changed. So I don't think he was
Yeah,
some like
he
dark horse grifter.
right.
I think he's struggled
Yeah.
since the stroke, and it's unfortunate that it's been like so damaging to our country, or probably more damage yet to be done there, but like
I will this is one where I would take somebody who was a reliable right winger versus a person who like swings wildly all the time and they never know what they believe. Like this is like the problem. Like when people are like, if I knew Trump was just trying to constantly get rich
yeah,
and support terrible people, I would know how to predict what his next move is. But he's
yeah,
just like, he's like got dementia. He constantly changes his opinion based on like who's talking to him last and shit. So you
what
never
Trump.
know. You can't even plan for how horrible it is. You just got to always expect the worst. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and so one of the comments, just Amy, you know asking how why do we want another cinema Fetterman if the primary hasn't happened yet. What I mean, and that's going to be the question that are like people are having in these primaries. Like they're going to be the ones in these primaries who live in these states. They're going to be the one to vet these candidates. I don't live in Maine. I don't really have a role in what happens there. We're going to see what happens. We're going to see what the people want, and if they want that, they're going to see. And I mean, I think you know, everything, when it comes to what Graham says and does now, I don't see many indications about like him potentially becoming a Fetterman. I don't, because it's more about his past that people, from what I can see, um,
I think Fetterman is
criticize. But
such
I
a
think
special.
Fetterman is a special case.
Yeah.
But I think cinema, I think there's a lot of like examples that you can see. Like there are other people where it's like very clear. Again, I don't know. We're gonna see what happens here. I think like there's gonna be a situation where hopefully if they're elected, they can stay the line. I think I think like when it comes to Fetterman, special case, cinema, clearly grifter. Uh, Manchin was just trying to hold a red seat, but also a egomaniac who didn't need to oppose certain bills that he opposed for no reason. So we're just gonna see what happens here. I just think, yeah, man, more authentic people, more realness. Yeah, I mean, we all agree, no more fake Dems, and I think we want to just like we're gonna see what happens. But I think these are all just great conversations to be had. Like it's a tough one. There's a lot of debate about it, and again, like I hope you guys all stay and remain subscribers. Some of you guys are getting pissed by the thing. Remain subscribers to this so that we can keep having these conversations, right? like remain coming to these lives, even if some of the topics piss you off or if you disagree,
Come have tough
because
conversations.
because we're gonna have tough conversations. And apparently, me and Charles don't even agree fully. And
Yeah,
like,
fuck you,
you know
Ahmed.
what? You know what,
You know
Charles?
what?
I'm done.
I'm
You know
done
what,
with you.
Charles?
I'm
I think
unsubscribing from you right now.
Charles, I got to tell you, I'm done.
I'll see you
You,
next week.
you, no, you specifically, dude. I can't believe you're out here backing Dems. I need you to,
Yeah.
I'm. You know what? I'm gonna take the app off the app store.
You know what?
I'm gonna hack the
You
app that I built for you guys, and I am
can you
going
put your
to.
can you put your face really big on the home screen? Just like
I'm just
giant,
gonna hack it and
like
just like
pixelated
put a
giant Ahmed
pixelated version of
face.
my face all over the app. I'm gonna torpedo Common Powers efforts. I'm gonna just write a hit piece. You know
Do
what?
it.
Next time I go on CNN,
Do it.
they're
Yeah,
gonna be like, "What do you think about the
yeah,
Iran war?" And I'm
wait,
gonna
wait.
say, "You know what?
I want to talk about common power. Can
Common
you do
Power
that?
sucks. They suck."
Can you do that? That would actually get us a lot of press.
It
I
would.
think you should. Yeah, you should. The last time someone did that, it was the mayoral race here in Seattle, and people looked us up and they're like, "Wow, this organization is really cool."
Yeah. So I'm gonna go on there. I'll do a hit. I'll do a strategic hit piece to drive
That's right.
traffic to you guys. Yeah, but
It's
no,
like
like
the Cat Abu Ghazaleh, her
yes,
commercial where she
her
was like,
commercial was great.
this radical dim that wants healthcare for everybody
Yeah,
and a
no, it's
terrible
great.
and wants to get rid of corporate money and like, what is she gonna what is she doesn't even make enough money and she doesn't even own a house and it's like she can relate to regular people. It's terrible. Yeah.
No, it's great. And no, she was like literally bashing herself. It's a fantastic ad, and also good segue because you are going there to knock doors for Cat next week.
And we're gonna
And
talk.
although like we are now in irreparable beef, frankly, because of the conversation,
That we
I
are
think we are going to talk.
for
We are going to
democracy,
talk.
we're gonna
And
talk.
I was saying Monday, but I was thinking maybe we do just do Tuesday because it is
Let's do
primary
election
day.
day.
Let's just do election day. So we're gonna do live. Let's just do it on election day in the
Let's do it.
afternoon, or maybe even the morning. Whatever. We'll talk
Yeah.
about it. But so if you guys are subscribed, like, you know, go ahead and stay subscribed because you're gonna get an email on Tuesday. Yeah. Instead of saying, hey, subscribe, or like become a paid subscriber, please stay subscribed.
Yeah.
Please
Oh
stay
man,
subscribed.
it's dire times when he's like, you know what?
Stay subscribed. We
We don't
just hit
need
the
we
we
don't need
just hit
new
the
subscribers. We need to keep them.
we just hit the top 100 Substacks last week in the rising U.S. politics section because
That's
of you
right.
guys hitting the like button and being so supportive. So stay if you can. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, Tuesday you're gonna get what?
No, I was just doing the hands thing like
Oh,
you're
you're just
doing.
doing that, Jeff. Stay if you can. Oh, listen. Tuesday we're gonna be doing the live, so you're gonna get a notification about the timing of it, so you'll be able to come. And Tom, thank you, Thomas. Ahmed, we love you. Thank you, appreciate it. This is it. We can have a debate, Thomas. Me and you were debating throughout the whole chat, and you
Thomas
still
was the
showing
third
love.
participant
Um,
in
yeah, you might have
the
to just
live
join the
today.
live next time because your engagement was amazing. Really appreciate everyone in this chat who engage in such like meaningful good faith discussions because
Yeah,
honestly we don't have enough of that.
that's
There's
right.
always assumed bad faith and then people get angry and leave, but we are all having really tough conversations, recognizing we're all on the same side
Yeah.
in the end, and pushing truth. So we're
Yeah,
going to
and
see you guys on
come to this
Tuesday.
live for real talk. I know other lives, everyone is just it's an agree fest, and it's everybody just patting each other on the back. And maybe you like that stuff, and those are good lives. But this live, we talk about hard shit,
Yeah,
and so come for the hard shit.
yeah, all right, yeah, come
Also,
for the
it's
hard shit.
snowing outside. Okay, my weather forecast said it was only going to lightly rain. So fuck Trump for killing Noah and the Farmer's Almanac because Google thinks that it's raining right now and it's fucking snowing in Seattle. So
Yeah,
fuck him for that
yeah,
because I had no idea.
yeah. A reminder of who the real
Fucking
a
A.
reminder of who the real opposition is, who the real opponent
It's
is. All right,
Trump. Fuck
it's
that guy.
Donald. Look,
If
he's
we're
saying
not
Noah.
clear,
If we're not clear, by the way, guys, remember we hate Donald. Well, I can't. I don't know if I can say I hate him. Am I allowed to say that? Will I go
are
back
you
on?
allowed to say
Will
that?
I be allowed back on cable news? I remember there was this one guy who got fired off of the CNN contributor because he called Trump a piece of shit in the first
On
term.
live?
And the first term, I remember, I forgot the guy's name because he disappeared after that.
They didn't
But
hire him back.
he was fired for calling Trump a piece of shit, I think, either on air or on Twitter. And it's just like, how tame that is now. Of
Too
like, you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, that
all the
was too
stuff,
far. Now
all the
you if
stuff.
you don't curse, you're not let
Yeah,
on.
now it's like, Trump, AI, like making AI videos of bombing children. But yes, so we know who the real opposition is here. If you're in the pro democracy coalition, we're having these discussions because this is how you win.
Stand for the Farmer's Almanac. Yeah. Fuck
Yes,
yeah, Deborah.
yes. That's
That's
you know your
right.
stuff. You know your stuff. Thank you guys for staying here
That's
throughout
cool.
all our shenanigans, through the hard conversations. This ended up being way more wide ranging than I thought. We will see you Tuesday. Charles will be on the ground in Chicago, knocking doors, and we're gonna get a really in-depth view of what's going on in the primary
We
there.
are.
He's going to talk to voters. We're going to hear stuff that surprises us. The Texas primary stuff, takeaways you had really
Yeah.
surprised me. I did not expect, frankly, I'm still shook by the black
family
the
that
black
doesn't like
family,
DEI.
the anti-DEI black family that voted for Tallarico. I'm still
It's like,
trying to
I
grapple
don't
with.
understand it either, man. If
Yeah.
we hadn't seen it live, I would have been like, no way. This is bullshit. But yeah, America will surprise you, man, in great ways and in terrible ways. In terrible ways recently. All right, y'all. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for coming to this. I'm glad to see you soon.
All right. Take it
Take care,
easy.
y'all.
Everybody. Bye.